Huh, what should I watch tonight? All right, and welcome to the latest episode of What's Happening with me, Casey Foreman. On today's show, we're taking a look at what's new on streaming, because it seems like we're in a bit of a dry spell right now before a lot of big movie releases that are going to wrap up this year. But hey, that's what I'm here for, to tell you what is and what is not worth streaming at home. And we are getting a little lucky right now with some great releases this weekend. I'm talking about both movies and for TV shows. And let's start with something being widespread released on Netflix, talking about Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery. I saw this movie originally back in theaters and just rewatched it at home. And I'm here to say, if you're a fan of the first two movies, or just the murder mystery genre in general, this is something you are going to enjoy. Now, in this movie, there were some things that I didn't like, including I thought this was the weakest utilization of a Knives Out cast that we've seen up until this point. I mean, think about the star-studded casts that these films have had. Chris Evans, Ana de Armas, Edward Norton, heck, Batista did a great job in Glass Onion, but here in this third installment, no one stood out. Okay, maybe you could say Josh O'Connor, who ends up being the main character of this story. Not something I really loved, because when you're watching the Knives Out movies, in my opinion, you're watching it for one guy only. Okay, and it's Detective Blanc to go along with this star-studded cast, but again, no one really stood out. Not to their own fault. I think it is something to do with Rian Johnson's writing, something to do with Rian Johnson's directing, which ultimately maybe I'm just not that big a fan of. Overall, though, an enjoyable watch and something I am recommending. My rating on Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery, is a 3.8 out of 5. Nothing great, but again, definitely something worth watching at home. And you can stream it now on Netflix. Really quickly, a reminder to subscribe to the channel. We're putting out several videos every single week, and if you don't want to miss any of the action, hit that subscribe button. Also available to stream this weekend is F1, from the director of Top Gun Maverick and starring Brad Pitt. You can now stream this movie on Apple TV. How I would describe it: think about Top Gun Maverick, okay, but for car guys, right? Which is probably why I enjoyed this movie so much. I would even go as far as saying this was a top 5 theater experience for me in 2025. And thinking about it now, watching it at home on Apple TV, just the perfect movie to throw on with the family this holiday season. The racing scenes are going to remind you of Tom Cruise flying in his jet, of Top Gun Maverick, and it's a sports story of a veteran versus a newcomer, kind of this hotshot driver versus a veteran guy who's been doing it a long time, whose ways work better, who's going to triumph and ultimately be victorious in the end. Can they find a way to work together? All that kind of corny, fun sports movie stuff, but kind of at its best here in F1. The only downside to this movie, besides, a few corny things here and there, is that it is a little long. With a runtime that's over 2.5 hours, I thought they could have chopped off a good 20 minutes or so to make this a little bit more enjoyable for viewers. But don't let that deter you from watching this movie, because I'm giving it a 4.5 overall after my rewatch. Super enjoyable. I wish I was seeing it on the IMAX screen once again, but now available to stream on Apple TV. This is definitely one you should check out. And continuing on now to talk about a TV show new this week, but heck, it's been new for the past 5 weeks or so. I'm talking about Pluribus, Vince Gilligan's latest series on Apple TV as well. So if you have an Apple TV subscription, you're looking pretty good right now. But overall, I feel like more of you need to be discussing this show, because there's nothing like it on streaming right now. And yeah, it can be a little weird, and it is a slow burn of a show. You got me there. Okay, I'm not going to fight you. If you said, it's a little weird, it's a little slow for my taste, what am I going to do? My hands are up here. I'm not going to fight you with that. But come on! We just found out that people infected by the virus are consuming human proteins. They're cannibals now, and we had a John Cena cameo to kind of explain everything. It feels like the plot is really starting to progress. Carol is kind of going back and forth. Are these people something I want to kind of involve myself with, or do I want to kind of stick to myself, do my own thing? Do I miss just interacting with other people? Is it worth it? A lot of things that Carol is kind of finding herself going back and forth between, and it feels like we are getting close to a huge reveal, to finally finding out what the heck is going on. And I do believe this new survivor is going to end up playing a really big part in these final episodes of season 1. And I know there are a lot of people hesitant out there to start a new series, let alone one that starts this slow and is a little weird. But you know how great Breaking Bad, how great Better Call Saul ended up being. I'm here to say, don't miss out on the early stages of Pluribus. This show is definitely worth watching, and look forward to my official rating on season 1 when it wraps on Apple TV. Now some other news brought to you by Dubby Energy. Are you tired of the same old energy drinks and how they make you feel after the fact? Go check out Dubby's great products at the link below. So the Supergirl trailer dropped. This is going to be the next installment of James Gunn's DC universe coming out next summer. Overall, my thoughts on this trailer? It was okay. I think it was kind of similar to the first trailer that we got for Superman, which I was not a huge lover of. We actually got even more in this trailer than we did in comparison to the first one for Superman, right? So overall, I thought it was just okay. I'm not going to come to some dramatic decision on the movie right now and throw out some big opinions. But as far as first trailers go, I thought we got a decent amount here, and it got me pretty excited for this next DC movie. Now, of course, I have some concerns, including this will be the first DC project not directed by James Gunn. So really a test for audiences and a test for DC studios. Are these movies something that fans are going to enjoy consistently for the long run? So are they going to have the same kind of sauce that James Gunn has had, or is it going to have a different feel? I don't know. That's one of the only concerns I'm really having on this movie, though. Also, how about Spielberg dropping this little first look at his untitled UFO movie set to release next summer? All will be disclosed? What is this image that we see here? I don't know. It just has me incredibly excited. And apparently, we're going to be seeing our first look at this UFO, this untitled UFO movie coming from Spielberg, ahead of screenings of Avatar: Fire and Ash. So if you haven't bought your tickets yet, if you needed any other reason to get out there and watch this movie, we already have the Odyssey trailer playing. We have our first look at Avengers Doomsday, and now we know we're getting our first trailer for this movie as well. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, what are you doing? All right, and that's going to do it for us here on What's Happening. Now get out there and enjoy what's new on those streaming services. For me, Casey Foreman, I'll see you next time.